Also interesting is, remember, it's illegal to possess these stolen documents. It's different for the media. So everything you learn about this, you're learning from us.
Oh, it's special. They can read things you're not allowed to read. The good news is there are some real journalists left in America, not many. And these anti-fake news reporters and investigators, well, they're essential to the future of our republic. One of them is the author of The Plot Against the President, which is now an incredible movie made by Amanda Milius. His name is Lee Smith. Along with Lee, we have somebody who's been fighting for the truth for decades, John Solomon, the founder of the brand new news platform, justthenews.com. Gentlemen, welcome to the Gorka Reality Check.
Yeah, good to
Great
be
to be with you, Seb. Great to be with you too, John.
You too late.
Let's start with you, John. You've reported for the biggest names. You've covered all kinds of stories since you were a cub reporter. Why did you feel in this massively crowded market in the internet age, what is the reason that you created justthenews.com recently?
Well, listen, one is that there are just so many inaccurate stories out there that being affiliated with news brands that can't get the news right is detrimental to being able to get the truth out. We no longer practice factual journalism. We too many in our profession practice outcome journalism, meaning they determine the outcome and then try to fit the facts to the story. We saw that all through the Trump presidency. I think the other thing is endemic in that clip that you just played. Today's journalists think they're smarter than the American people. They think they can pull the wool over the American people's eyes. Those in journalism who think that are dumb, they're wrong, but they become so arrogant in ivory tower that you hear silly things like you heard Chris Cuomo say, I believe the smartest people in the world are the American public, and I write in such a way and report in such a way that I trust them to make up their own mind. I don't need to give them propaganda and try to force them to make up their mind for them.
Lee, in addition to the work you've done for both of your books, The Permanent Coup and The Plot Against the President, you've done so much to uncover the truth of the quote-unquote Russia collusion story, just as John has. Lee, what is the role of the mainstream media when it comes to the Flynn story, Russia collusion, Manafort, Carter Page? Were they reporting the truth?
Well, first of all, I just want to say, while John is here, I've had the pleasure, of course, to write for Just the News several times, and what John is doing is fantastic. Taking that together with what you guys are doing at Newsmax, I'm actually optimistic about the future of. Because what you're referring to, Seb, what we call, whether it's the corporate media or prestige press, however we want to describe it, fake news is perhaps the most accurate way to talk about it. Look, it's not just a partisan press, right? The media has typically slanted left for decades, right? But that's not what we're talking about. What we've started to see with Russiagate quite plainly is the media is nothing but, the prestige press is simply a platform for serial information operations run in tandem with Democratic Party operatives and, disastrously, spy services. We've seen that going on now, at least since Russiagate. Most recent one is I don't know how we want to refer to it, maybe Sedition Gate. But this nonsense that somehow there was an insurrection on January 6th, and our democracy was at threat during a 3-hour long protest that unfortunately proved riotous at times. But again, we see the same sort of thing. It's the press, it's Democratic Party operatives, and U.S. spy services, domestic and foreign.
John, you've written an incredible book called Fallout: Nuclear Bribes, Russian Spies, and the Washington Lies that Enriched the Clinton and Biden dynasties. Everybody needs to read it along with Lee's 2 books. But will you talk to us for a moment about the personal cost and what it means to be a truth teller in the journalistic world today? For example, the privacy of your phone calls, your text messages, your communications with members of Congress?
Yeah, listen, Adam Schiff put them all out in public back in 2020 as part of the impeachment trial. Never bothered to even interview me to ask him what they were about. Had he done that, he might have gotten some surprises. in the course of that. But, we live in an era of politics, and journalists are now part of the contact sport. We get bumped around, we get criticized. The greatest thing is to turn that off every day. That's what Lee does. Lee doesn't get distracted by the noise. He goes for the news. And I think that's the most important thing. This week, we saw a really great example. The mainstream media actually taking a Democratic line and saying, hey, the reason things are so bad in Cuba is because of the Trump embargo. No, it isn't. The reason things are bad in Cuba is that they've had 6 and 7 decades of communism that, cratered their economy. This silliness that keeps getting propagated on the American public, most Americans see it for what it is and they dismiss it. It's time for real journalists to get out of the silliness and start to report facts again.
I love it. What a fabulous message to close on. Avoid, ignore the noise, and stick to the news and the truth. That's what we do here at Newsmax. It's what you gentlemen do. Read the books these individuals have written and check out every single day justthenews.com. God bless you both for doing what you do.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them. Tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.